Hello, this is Gary Crowley with DoItYourselfJointPainRelief.com, and today we're going to show you how to get some testicle pain relief for the most common type of testicle discomfort that I've run into with my clients over the years. And I do want to be clear though that there are more than one type of testicle pain, and this one comes, the one we're going to deal with today, comes from the muscles in basically your hips, especially the lower half of your hips, being too tight and grabbing the nerves that basically innervate your scrotum. There's other types of testicle pain that come maybe from up in L1, your top lumbar vertebra, and if you have a kidney stone or some other things going on, that can cause testicle pain. So do be clear that if you have intense, kind of acute testicle pain, especially if you do what I'm about to show you and it doesn't work, then you should probably go see your doctor. You might have a kidney stone you need to deal with or something else. Also, on the link in the description for this video, that goes to the page on my website where I give you a written description of everything we do here, but it also has a link for a testicular cancer self-exam, which the odds are extremely rare that you would have that issue, but in about a minute you can do a self-exam and make sure that you do not. So let's get on with ideally fixing your testicle pain that we're going to deal with. So basically we're going to use a tennis ball today for the first two things we're going to do. And what you want to do with this tennis ball, what we're going to do, first step, we're going to actually lay on this tennis ball on our actual tailbone. So on the bone where there might be some tissue build up, because we want to give that tailbone as much slack as we can so we can go back to wherever it wants to go if it's being torqued or twisted. Then we're going to get actually in the muscle tissue in our hip. So first thing we're going to do, you just lay down on a surface, maybe with a carpet probably, or a table with a little cushion on it, and you just put this tennis ball right under your tailbone. Pick a side. I usually do one side at a time. You might as well pick the side that if you're having testicle pain on, and you just lie on your tailbone, and again all you want to do is see if there's any tender spots. If there's anything, like there's a little tender spot for me, and if you just lay the ball on that tender spot or under it, and you don't want to move the ball under the spot, you want to keep the ball in one position and make your leg kind of move so you feel that tissue move under the ball a little bit. And as you do, that will tend to release, and then you move to the next spot. So this is called the tennis ball press technique, which on the techniques page on my website I demo all the techniques so you can do them as effectively as possible. But there you go, and that will tend to let that go. And I just go to my other side, and again I'm on the bone, I'm laying on, putting that tennis ball right, pressing into the bone. And let's see if I can find a tender, there's a little tender spot. And again, you want that ball staying in the same spot while you make that tissue, there it goes. And it will tend to let go pretty easily on your tailbone. So now that our tailbone is pretty free, we're going to take this ball, and here's the tip of my tailbone. You got to go to the right a little bit or to the side a little bit, and all this is muscle tissue. So we just want to get that ball. We're going to start down here, and we're going to move on up and make sure all this stuff is free. So again, actually I'm going to start sitting, sorry. You start sitting, and again I'm right there, that ball, and literally you sit on it, and that's probably, on one of your sides, that's probably going to be pretty tender. Probably the side that hurts the most, but sometimes it's the opposite side that's the troublemaker, so we got to do both sides. And there's a nice little tender spot. And again, same thing, that ball staying in one place, pressing into that tender spot, and I'm making that tissue kind of move under the ball. And as that lets go, you move up a little bit, and you got to investigate. You got to find, so there's a tender spot. I'm still on this right side. And that's a good one right there. You might have to move your leg a little differently, but you'll feel it. And then as it lets go, like that just did, you move up. And then when you get it probably a little more than halfway up, you're going to have to start using your body weight a little differently. And again, as much pressure as you can relax into. That's what we're doing here. If there's no medals for bravery. We want as much pressure, but we don't also want you stressing your nervous system because there's too much discomfort from what you're doing. So as much as you can relax into, I feel I'm doing this, but I can relax into it. And there that goes. And then I'm way up here. And it's funny, as one thing lets go, everything else lets go a little easier too. And then you do the other side. You can start at the bottom again, go all the way up, scoot over, and I'm just going to give you an accelerated version of all this. Any tender spots you find, you release them. And with each little phase, you take a little break and assess, see how your discomfort is being relieved or not. And you may find, well, like that one button undoes it, so then especially if you're sitting at a computer all day and you're commuting to work, you might have an issue with the way you sit in your car and at your computer. And honestly, at work you can just stick this under your butt and work away without anybody really knowing what you're doing. So those are the first two things. We released your tailbone, we released the tissue on both sides of your tailbone, and so we're done with the tennis ball. The last thing we're going to do is now just roughly, we're going to do 2 stretches to get this tissue here. First stretch, basically the arm of the leg that's crossed is going to go over your shin, okay, and the other hand I use to assist in one motion. I basically shoot this arm over my shin, and I reach through and I grab as high up on my arm as I can. Now I can get in there pretty good, and you feel the stretch in your butt. But if you're tighter, all it means is you won't be able to go as far, and you might have to do that, and you'll feel it in your butt. Which in some ways is great, because if you're tight and we release all that tension, because you can get here pretty quickly if you do it every day for a little bit, then all that means is that everything around here is going to be better. And then you do the other side. Same thing, and if you do a round or 2 on each side and then you go back, you'll find each side gets a little freer each time you do it. So that's the reclined hip stretch, and now we're going to do the seated hip stretch. And basically, you want your legs roughly 90 degrees, 90 degrees. You never want to feel this in your knee. If you feel this stretch in your knee, you want to move your foot to a place where you don't feel it in your knee. And all we're doing here is we're leaning forward. And again, you'll feel this in your butt. You might feel it here too. And you do that. You do the other side. And as you do this side and the other side, you go back and forth. And you peel the onion a little bit. Each thing you do will help everything else release a little bit. So just assess your pain kind of after each thing you do. Probably that second one where you're actually sitting on the ball in your hip muscles, that's gonna, hopefully that'll do 90% of what you're looking for. But feel free to investigate and play around. And again, testicular cancer self-exam on the link below, and I demo the techniques on the techniques page for the website in the link below. So I do hope that helps you, and I always look forward to hearing if and when it does help you. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing how it goes. Thanks.